So you may have heard of this thing called seller financing and have wondered, what does that exactly mean? Well, stay tuned. Today I'm going to tell you all about what seller financing is on the Clouse Corner. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Again, another week. Today we're going to be discussing what seller financing is. So you may have heard this term tossed around with real estate and not necessarily understood what it was or why it might be used. So today I wanted to tell you all about seller financing. So what does it mean for seller financing to take place? That basically means the seller of a property acts as the lender and gives the buyer the credit to purchase the property minus the down payment. So a buyer will come in, they'll still have to pay a down payment to the seller. Then the seller takes the remaining amount of the purchase price minus that down payment, and they basically finance the purchase to the buyer, meaning that the buyer then pays monthly mortgage payments, typically with interest, directly to the seller to start to pay off the remainder of the amount of the purchase price. Now, this often works best if a seller has already paid off their entire mortgage. They've paid down the life of their own loan, because then they're basically recouping their money just in monthly installments from a buyer. Now, sometimes the reason that a seller might do this is because they don't need money right away. They want to sell, or they're having trouble selling their home, and this is another way to get a buyer to maybe commit who doesn't have as good of credit or needs some leniency with the loan. That said, a buyer would do this because maybe they can't qualify for a loan right now. Maybe they're self-employed, or maybe they're working on their credit and it's not as good, or they don't have as big of a down payment as they would like. So typically it's still a 30-year loan. Oftentimes they'll put something that's called a balloon payment after the first 5 years, which means that you pay the monthly installments for those first 5 years, and at the end of that time you pay off the entire remaining amount of the loan or of the purchase price. And this typically means that the buyer is planning in those 5 years to either have the equity grow enough that they can pay it off, or be able to refinance and get a loan from a traditional lender so that they can pay the seller at that time. So it's helpful for buyers who maybe don't have the right credit, or are self-employed, or can't qualify for a loan at the current time but can make the monthly payment. Maybe their debt to income ratio won't allow them to qualify, but they're able to still make those payments. And then it can be helpful for a seller if they're not pressed to sell right away and recoup all of the money, or they've already paid off that property and don't have to worry about making their own mortgage payments. So that's a little bit about seller financing and why it might be used in a market. So if you have any questions about seller financing, or want to know a little bit more, don't hesitate to reach out. You can always call, text, email, or DM me. And we hope you'll subscribe to this video on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel for more updates like this. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys again next week.